Right, have you been caught up chasing that ultimate sourdough loaf? You know, the one that explodes with oven spring and reveals that iconic sourdough ear. And yet, despite following all of the instructions to the absolute T, your starter triples in size, you manage the bulk fermentation properly, you nail the proving stage, all of your attempts end up looking like pancakes. Well, if that is the case, at some point, you must have wondered if it's your oven that's the problem, and more specifically, the choice of temperature. Well, that's what Sarah, a member of our email community, has been absolutely haunted by since she started her baking journey. And the truth is, with so many recipes advising different temperatures, you probably don't know which way to turn. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, and we're going to discuss whether there really is this kind of magical temperature, whether it really exists, and what you might want to prioritize over temperature. Oh, and Jack's going to share some of his tips that he actually uses when he's scoping out an oven. So, my preferred baking temperature is 220 degrees Celsius. I barely change it for petards and balls, but I can still get a great loaf at 230, 40, and 250. And moreover, I can even get a loaf to spring when I use a cold start with absolutely no preheat. So tell me, does the temperature really matter that much? And if it's not the temperature, what should we be focusing on? Okay, listen, this is the deal. I get very, very similar results whether I bake at 220 degrees Celsius or 240 degrees Celsius. That's about, what, 430 to 460 degrees Fahrenheit for my American friends. Now, while oven setup is important, temperature isn't actually the main kind of factor or driver behind those beautiful plump loaves that you see that have got dramatic oven spring. What really determines whether your loaf is going to explode with spring or fall flat comes down to managing that fermentation chain properly and making sure that when you bake the loaf, the outside, the crust, doesn't set too quickly. Even if you cock up the scoring, a properly fermented and proofed loaf is still going to spring. Oven temperature plays a much smaller role, which I'm going to tell you is damn lucky, because every oven is different. It's crazy different. I mean, dramatically different. We could both set our ovens to 220 degrees Celsius, but you know what? Mine might actually be running at 230, while yours is sitting closer to 210. And what you're baking on or what you're baking in matters too. A baking stone, steel or cast iron baking pan will each create different thermal environments. And while oven spring is often credited to all of those tools, they actually influence the crust colour and the texture far more than oven spring. And I'm going to show you that. I can show you how you can get explosive oven spring baking directly on the oven shelf and covering that dough with a piece of aluminium foil, and I'll link to that video at the end of this one. Now, getting to know how your oven behaves is far more important than worrying about, whether your oven's dialed in to 220 degrees Celsius or 225 degrees Celsius. You should start paying close attention to absolutely everything that you're baking inside your oven, not just your bread. Notice if water collects in the door trap when you're cooking something like a stew or something with moisture. That's often a really good sign that your oven seal is in good shape, which means you've got a better chance of trapping steam during open baking. Or maybe you've noticed that certain areas always seem to brown or burn much faster than others. That's a clue that you've got hot zones that you need to keep in mind. Every single time you use your oven, treat it like a mini experiment. Stay present, observe everything that's happening, and ask yourself the question, what is this telling me about my oven, how it behaves, and how will it affect my sourdough? Because those little details can make a very big difference to your bread. Understanding the personality of your oven, how to get along with it, is going to help you step away from using things like baking pans and Dutch ovens. And you know what? That gives you the freedom to bake multiple loaves, baguettes, or big trays of rolls with absolute confidence. The more you understand your oven and how to adapt, the more freedom you're going to have to bake all different kinds of breads. Now, in a recent podcast, Jack Sturgis explained how baking a tray of biscuits or roasting some vegetables actually helps him scope out an oven that he's never ever used before.
That flat tray of evenly spread biscuits would give me a clue as to how evenly the heat is dispersed in the oven, right? Because I'll be able to tell, like if some at the back were browning off quicker than ones at the front, well, I'd know by the time we baked our bread, I'd have a full understanding of what their oven's doing.
I'm stealing so many of your ideas. Go on, carry on.
Because I'd never visit first, I never scope out the area. I would just make sure we've got an oven, we've got space to work, I've got space around the sink so I can wash up as we go along, and we just arrive and crack on. And
So how did you get there? I mean, how did you get to that understanding? Because that's quite a revelation and super important in what you do, something I'd never ever thought about. How did you learn that was a great way to scope out the oven? Was it an idea you had sitting on the sofa, or had you been through 3 or 4 of these kind of one-to-ones and thought, I've got to find a way to test this oven first?
I did loads. No, it wasn't really about. It was a bonus. I did loads of these things. And it was kind of. I always like the idea of having something homemade. It's the same as I do a class. I'll make a cake or something. We'll have some homemade thing to have with our tea, and it was just something that in being to so many people's houses and all their ovens work a little bit differently. Everyone's got their own kind of hot spot somewhere. Some ovens are quite dry, some keep the steam in really well. And it just came out of practice. It's just practice. Keep going to people's houses and realizing that they're all different. Because in the beginning, I thought, well, an oven's an oven. That's just it. But it's not the case. It's just learning and practice. And then I started making biscuits going, okay, yeah, this will actually give me an idea. The second thing I put in the oven is a tray of like butternut squash or something for a salad, or I'd roast some aubergine or something like this. And this would really give me another clue because some ovens brown stuff off really quickly, but take ages to cook it. Some ovens cook everything through to the middle, keep it well moist. It doesn't brown off for ages. And that gives you another clue as to how moist the inside of the oven is when you come to bake your bread. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Right. But all this stuff just kind of came out of. It's the same with bread. It's practice and practice and practice.
The more you do it, the more you do it.
The same with everything. This is the lesson that bread brings us, is that it is a craft and it is a practice, and you carry it on through your life. And every time you do it, whether you know it or whether you don't, you're picking something up along the way.
Right, so coming back round to the question that Sarah had originally asked, this is what I suggest. First up, you need to make sure that your starter and your leaven are super strong and vibrant. You need to really dial in your fermentation and proving stages. Don't fall for the idea that there's this one magic temperature, and if you miss it, your loaf won't spring. Here's what to do. Test bake at different temperatures. Bake a few loaves at 220 degrees Celsius, then see what happens at 230, then 240. Work out what's best for you. Fine-tuning that temperature is definitely going to help you dial in the crust colour and the texture, both vitally important. But in most cases, 10 or 20 degrees won't make or break your oven spring. Use a thermometer, stick it in your oven. Check whether your oven is running at the temperature that you've actually set it to. That's going to give you the data that you need to make smarter choices the next time you bake. You know what? We've got over 150 bakers inside Sourdough Unchained. All of them are using different ovens, different oven setups, and baking at different temperatures. And you know what? They're all getting really good oven spring, even the beginners. So, what do they all have in common? Well, it's not a magic temperature. They've learned how to manage the fermentation and the proving stages correctly, and they understand how to delay the crust setting by either covering their dough or using the right amount of steam in the early stages of baking. I'd even argue that the baking mode that you select is far more critical to your success than the temperature. If you bake using the oven's convection setting, the one with a fan, and if your dough isn't tightly covered during that first part of the bake, then the fan can actually dry out or set the crust super quickly. That often leads to that kind of classic puffball shape you might have seen. My oven's conventional bake mode without fan produces far better results. And lastly, remember this, if your formula is out of whack, then none of this, none of what we've talked about is going to make a blind bit of difference. If you really want incredible oven spring, your recipe, it needs to be dialed in correctly. So, if you're not using any type of recipe calculator to either build or tweak your recipes, grab a copy of Magnus Junior. It's my beginner-friendly sourdough calculator. It's going to help you. It's going to help you to balance your formula properly and make sure that you're not setting yourself up for failure before you've even mixed your dough. Because here's the thing, baking really good sourdough, it's rarely ever about one critical factor. It's the sum of all of the parts, calculated and executed properly. That's what leads to really good results. Now, if you want to see how you can set your oven up for really explosive oven spring without any expensive gear, I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. And of course, remember, what gets measured gets managed. Make sure you continue to take notes about your baking, document that process properly. Don't get too fixated on finding that perfect temperature. Focus on understanding how your oven behaves, mastering each stage of the fermentation chain, and of course, stopping that crust from setting too early. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.